Welcome back, everybody. It is Tuesday night, and that means another episode of Theater and Tech Trends live. We don't pre-record this stuff. This is live off the top of the head. And again, I know I say this a lot, but man, some shows are just going to be awesome, and you know it. And this is another one, right? Because we got two great companies, two great guys, and we're going to be talking about stuff that I think is going to be near and dear to just about anybody with a home theater, right? And that is, how do I make things look really good? And then how do I have I guess it's all how do I make it really good? How do I have a really good source? And then how do I massage things to make it look as good as it possibly can look on my display technology, whether that's projection or whatnot. And we have Rob from Magnetar and Jim from Lumagen. Gentlemen, welcome.
Greetings.
Yeah.
Greetings.
So let's start with you, Rob, just a little bit. And if you could, let people know who you are, what you do, and why people should care.
Okay. My name is Rob Jones. I am the president of Magnetar North America. And what we do is we manufacture universal media players. Focus, obviously, because there's a little tray that pops out on the front that isn't a coffee holder, is a disc player. But we're much more than that, right? We're a utility player. We play stuff off of pretty much any format that you can throw at it off a USB drive, network, LAN content, physical media, whether it's CD, SACD, DVD, Blu-ray 4K, pretty much all of it. So we kind of pride ourselves not so much as a pigeonhole Blu-ray player, but more of a utility player because we cover so much territory. And we offer a solution to guys who are looking for something that can answer and fulfill all those needs. But obviously the core focus comes down to folks who have physical media libraries, and there's not a lot of solutions anymore, especially in the premium space. So when Apple left the market quite some time ago, and they've now pulled their support and service, which is an even stronger reason to consider us. We fortunately have been pegged as the next in line to the Oppo throne.
Right, you're the heir apparent.
Yes, and we like to think we take it to the next level, but that's always subjective, right? But yeah, so that's who we are, and that's what we do. And we basically really kind of focus on a customer centric experience, customer service, supporting the dealers, supporting the end customers, and giving them the ability to have a one box solution versus a separate SACD player if they still have that, versus a separate Blu-ray player, versus a separate network media player. We kind of fill all those in one box. Everything is audio file and video file reference grade output, ESS 9038 DeX. It's a MediaTek 8581 chipset in both players. And we have the UDP 900, which is the beast. That one has a DAC on board. Supports XMOS, so you can use it as you like. The 800, which is the kind of what our entry level player, so to speak, supports the TI Burr Brown DACs 2-channel and 7.1 channel bowl.
Cool. Now we're going to dig in more, but before we jump in deeper, I want to give Jim an opportunity to introduce himself so people can know who he is, what he does, and why they should care.
Okay, I'm Jim from Lumagen. We've been doing video processing for about 23, 24 years, and we have had a number of generations culminating in the current product mix is the Radiance Pro for 4K HDR. And the reason that you need Lumagen as a video processor is we take whatever content is and we tune it for your specific system, whether you have a 50-nit projector or a 200-nit projector or a 1,000-nit LED wall or 700-nit OLED. We will tune to that, and you get to make some changes. And you can calibrate. We do 1D and 3D calibrations. But I think one of the key features, well, there's two key right now. People love the instant auto aspect. So you basically turn on your system. The Lumagen decides what the aspect ratio of the source is, and we deal with it, whether you have a 16:9 screen or a 235 screen, or you need to control masking. But another key one is dynamic tone mapping. And we're proud to say that there is a producer who works for a major studio, John Thompson, who has used the Lumagen to basically help grade his consumer content for the last 8 years. So he basically converts, or it uses his consumer stuff to send to a Dolby Vision projector, and then compares the studio reference grade. And he says the Lumagen is absolutely the best match to the studio reference, and he uses that to make sure that the consumer release is what he wants. So our motto of see what the director intended, which we've had for 20 years, is exactly come to fruition with John Thompson using that in the studio. And we have other people using Lumagen for lip sync. Genlock, so you have a specific input to output frame. You always have one output frame per input frame, and you get to be able to adjust the audio lip sync. So lip sync has become a very important thing for high-end audio files.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so first off, a lot of folks are out there in the audience. Ike is here, Easy Home Theater Tech, welcome. Derek is with us. If folks have questions, please feel free to throw those up, and we can get those answered as we go along. There's no need to wait. Matt says hi, everybody. So welcome, Mr. Vaught. Now I'm going to throw up on the screen the Magnetar website. So I think that should be there now. And I want to
you want to go to magnetarusa.com. That's the corporate site. Magnetar
USA. I can do that.
Yeah.
And I just want people to be able to see what this is looking like. All right, here we go.
Yep.
Come on. All right, we're going to feel the art of perfection. And here are the two models. I wanted folks to see what the faceplate of these look like, because they are gorgeous pieces of gear. I mean, look at that. That is a swanky looking spinner. I mean, it looks like the brush to the different colors, kind of. I mean, yeah, and then the little tray slides out of the middle. But this is your high end, top end model, so to speak.
That's the flagship, yeah.
Yep, your flagship. And I've had an opportunity to play with an 800, and I did a review on this a while back, and I thought it was a great player. Worked really well, did everything it was supposed to. And it looked great while it was doing it too. People can be like, I don't care what it looks like, but man, I care what it looks like. If I'm going to spend some money on something, I want a piece of gear that, particularly for folks that aren't doing like a hidden rack where this stuff is just never seen by anybody. If you're going to have it out, make it look good. And you guys have certainly done that. Maybe you can jump a little bit deeper into the differences between the two. And I think the primary biggest difference is going to be the analog outputs on the 900, maybe. But who these products are for?
Sure. So if you're looking for, and Jim can certainly speak to this as well. You're looking for the ultimate solution. You want the ultimate in picture quality. You want high end audio. This is the player that you're looking for. There's not a lot of choices in the market anymore. You got Panasonic down at about $1,000, give or take, and you got some Sonys under that. So what we do with the 800 is kind of what we would consider our entry level player, as it were. And that player has a 2-channel analog out with TI Burr Brown DACs. It is under the hood. It is quite a bit different than the 900, whereas the 900 has the ESS 9038 and 9028 DACs. It has XMOS USB DAC support. It also has the boards and the board design and the components are higher level components.
Okay.
So you're getting better electronics. You're getting better DACs. You're getting separated power. Everything is done with just a little bit more refining. This is a product that was built with intent, right? As you can tell from the end, it's as pretty on the inside as it is on the outside, right? And for example, the 900 is 3,100. I'm sorry, it's 31 pounds. The 900 is. It's a real machine, right? And what we wanted to do was create that solution, as you said, that if someone has it out, when you put your card down for this, you're getting a real machine. And we have gone through the design process quite deeply and intently, not to give you something that's going to die out on you in a year, or that's riddled with plastic and problematic in that way. It certainly is a product that is made to do the job for the audiophile, the sonophile, the guy who's looking for that solution, that wants the best.
Right on. Well, this definitely looks pretty darn awesome. So looking at the innards, so to speak, got power stuff on the left there, and the center on the front. You've got the disc and the tray mechanism, the laser. On the right hand side, is that the analog output stage?
Yes, and that's and then there's a 2.0 underneath it.
Okay, right on.
So 2.0 and 7.1.
And then behind, I guess the disc would be all of the HDMI and other items. That board there, maybe that board might go across the bottom. I can't really tell.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah, that is pretty. Now, how do people make a choice between the two? Right. So if if they're trying to choose one or the other, and it's not going to be just a dollars and cents kind of choice, because I assume that the 900 is more than the 800. What is going to be the kind of the criteria they would use?
I think the driving factor in most choices we hear is the guys who are really about audio, because of the upgraded audio offerings the 900 has. They're going to focus on that player. If you're just looking for a workhorse that is going to put out reference level audio and video, but you're not so much focused on the audio output, the 800 is the solution for you, right? So it really just kind of depends on what you're looking for. But what really kind of drives the 900 is the upgraded audio, the XMOS. That's where those are the guys who are buying that player. Folks who are using it for just kind of general high quality reference level playback are getting 800.
Right on. So and we touched on this just a little bit before, but as you said, back in the day, the big multi-purpose player, the really popular one was the Oppo, however you like to say it. And of course, they're gone now. And for a long time, people would buy secondhand units for what I thought was insane amounts of money, right? Because they had to have it, right? And so maybe I didn't coin the term, but at least I used it early. I call them Oppo files, right?
Yes,
because they were such fans of the platform, right?
Look, it was a cult status for that. For that, you know what I mean? It was boys club for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. And from my perspective, the only product on the market that is similar to that, or maybe even better now, right? Because times change, right? Is the Magnetar. I mean, I can't think of another product that does everything that needs to do to kind of be in the past you would have been a competitor, but now you're just like the complete replacement, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and again, for us, it's also not just about physical media, right? Even though it will support 4K, DVD, Blu-ray, SACD, DVD-A, straight CD, USB stored media up to 16 terabyte, networked media, and it will play pretty much any format you can throw at it. So and this is both players are very utilitarian in that way, right? So you're getting a lot of playback for your money, and you're getting it at a really high quality. Our upscaling engine is unbeatable as far as 1080 to 4K. It's just mind-blowingly cool. So you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot for it, and we like to think that kind of a solution has a need in anybody's home theater, right? Whether they're a musicologist, whether they're a videophile, whether they have an existing Blu-ray collection that they've had for years and are kind of getting back into it because they're frustrated with the fragmentation of streaming and kind of where that's headed, or they're just starting brand new and they're looking to, I want that touchy feely, I want the physical media, I want that, and I want to be able to play it back on in a manner that befits my ears.
Right.
We are kind of it at this point. Unless you're just talking about your everyday player or gaming consoles, right?
Sure. Yeah. People, please don't do a gaming console for your primary disc player for a home theater. So I've talked about you guys in the past, and I've talked a lot about source devices, and I've used pretty much everything out there, and I really do put you guys in what I think of as kind of a pool of 3 source devices that at least I want in my theater, and you guys handle all the physical media, right? So I think anybody that's gonna use physical media. That's most everybody, right? I mean, everybody's got a physical media
Sure.
library of some age, right? And
Sure.
I mean, if you can fit it in there, pretty much it'll play, which I
Yeah.
appreciate.
It's interesting because, as Jim spoke to, we have a board of advisors that are filmmakers and guys who work in the studios. And, a buddy of mine is a supervising sound designer over at Warner Brothers. And I sent him the player when I came on board last year. I sent him a player and said, give me the goods. What do you think? And his first initial response wasn't technical at all. What he said was, dude, I went and pulled my Blu-rays out that I haven't watched in years and put them on this player. And it just reminded me of what I'm missing. Now, anything that I'm going to watch that I want to experience, I'm going to watch it on the player. I'm not going to stream it. And to me, that we've hit the nail on the head at that point, right? We did the same thing with another friend of mine is one of Stallone's editors. He's done, Rocky Balboa and the Creed movies. And, he came back and said that it reminds him of the QA on the stage, right? In the QA process on the stage. And we look at it as if we can have those guys validate the product and say, this is what I created, this is what I output on the stage, you guys are right there with it, then we should be able to make anybody happy, we hope.
Right on. And while we're talking about physical media, because you guys are all about physical media, I do want to just touch a little bit more on the file playing capability. So for folks that don't know, physical media discs, there are files on there and it plays the files, but files don't have to live there. They could be on a USB stick. Now, and I know you can play back off USB stick. Can you play back off of network shares and stuff as well? Can you
yes,
mount those?
100%.
So
we support
how would that work?
So we have an Ethernet connection on the back of the player. We support NFS. We support SMB, Microsoft Samba. We support DLNA. So if you have a hard drive, if you have a PC that's got a bunch of videos on it, MOVs, MKVs, MP4s, whatever flavor, you can use the network browser in the player and it will find those movies and you can click right through it. Now I've got a Plex server here at my home and I've got a bunch of movies on the drive, and there are times when I'm in the Magnetar already and I'll just go to the movie section of the Magnetar and pull up off of my Plex server a movie and watch it through the Magnetar because the upscaling is much better.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And I guess not that it's a missing feature because you guys just, you never intended it to have this feature, but Plex, the magic there is it gives you the nice GUI, right?
Menu.
The covers and stuff and the menu capability. But this will play back everything a Plex will play back, right?
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Nice.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, still in the vein of physical media, it seems like to me that over time, the physical media, the chat is like, oh, it's waiting a little bit. Oh, it's back. Oh, it's waning. From your perspective, and I know you're obviously a big physical media proponent, but how are things looking right now? What is the state of the world when it comes to discs?
So I think you just hit a keyword that a lot of people don't think about, especially us U.S.-minded folks, right? And that is that here in the U.S., there is no argument that physical media in Blu-ray is right. There's no question about it. However, as with vinyl that everybody kind of wrote off some years ago and CDs, what you find and we have found, and we talk to the studios, right? We look at the DEG reports, we see what's selling, what isn't, and you have this kind of recent upswing over the past couple of years of these collector sets, which are steel books. Studios like Shout Factory are taking a title and they're wrapping a bunch of stuff around it. Right, a bunch of add-ons. So you're spending $150, but you're getting the latest 4K master. You're getting a bunch of ancillary items that are brand specific to the title, to the film, and it's the collectors scene that is starting to really kind of rise. And the same thing from a music standpoint. You're starting to see as music kind of migrates. You get these touring bands. And it used to be we'd go to Tower Records or wherever and go through the CDs or the albums, and right. Now what you find CDs on the merch table with the T-shirts and the hats at the concert, right? And everything else is on the phone and Spotify, and right? So, we have kind of taken a unique approach in understanding that when we're trying to speak to dealers, we're saying, look, we know you have customers that have physical media libraries. let's go talk to them, because there's business to be done and there's experiences to be had by those customers that they're not having, right? And then you've got the demise of the Apple Service Bay, so there's no place for the Apple guys, and there's a ton of them out there. When that thing goes, it's gone. So we kind of look at all of those, check those boxes, but then you start to look at the world, and you go, CDs in Japan are still a very big thing, right? And you start to look at all the different territories being a global country or a global company, available in dozens of countries. You start to see the dynamics of, wow, physical media is still very much alive over here, and it's stronger here than it is in the U.S. But the U.S. has this, right? So when you start to blend, you start to really get a good sense of the physical media is not dead by any stretch of the imagination. What it is it's kind of shape shifting into, in the U.S. market, something that's becoming more of a collector's vertical. And in the other markets, it's still Japan, number 2 music market in the world, CD. And they spend a lot of time and effort on packaging around that CD, because that's what the Japanese consumer wants. So it's very much alive and well. That's how we see it, and that's our sales are reflective of it. When I came on board, it was quite surprising to me. I thought, okay, this is a $3,000 unit. This is going to be interesting to see how we can overcome some of these challenges that are before us. And not only have we been able to kind of overcome some of them in that tremendous streaming headwind that comes at us on a daily basis, but there's a lot more people out there that are just going, you know what, thank you for being there, because I've got these discs and I got nowhere to go, or I just started collecting and your player has been the keys to the kingdom for me. And that's why we do it, right? So it makes sense.
And I appreciate that you guys do it too, because I'm not like some people are, I don't know, I call them completionists, right? They collect a lot of discs. I mean, they have a lot, right? I mean, just rooms full. For me, I buy discs that are important to me in some way, right? So here's an example. Not that you guys can play this, but I want my disc on Laserdisc, and I want it on tape. I want it on 4K. I want it on Blu-ray. I want it on DVD. And having your player, that allows you to play all that stuff back, right? And not have to flop around and this. And another thing, so Japan, are they doing SACD new pressings over there anymore, or is that gone now?
Not a lot that I've seen, but funnily enough, I still see there's new Blu-ray audio titles coming out weekly.
Right. I'm just curious about the super audio CDs, because I like the format myself, but I don't know if they're still doing them or not.
No, it's a third-party marketplace kind of thing. It's an eBay world, right, for that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And Discogs and those kind of places where you're going to find that stuff. But from a new standpoint, there is some stuff that comes out, yes, but it's certainly not. It's not a free-flowing river of content.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. But
but yes, to answer the question, it is out there. It's just, it's just not a lot. It's not as frequent.
Right on. And one other thing that I want to point out to folks is, I was really, I don't know, I guess shocked is the right term, but the quality and the number and the availability of these boutique pressing discs now, Scott Factory and all that kind of stuff, it's crazy. I mean, they have such cool stuff out there. I mean, for folks that maybe haven't looked at this closely in the last little while, this isn't like you go to Walmart and you buy the disc out of the stack of 800 of them that are just like it, right? And it's like, the cheapest package. I mean, these are really nice.
They're discs. Well done.
I mean,
and a lot of them are remastered, so they've gone back and done a fresh master, and then they've added more ancillary content around it that wasn't released before. I mean, there's a lot of effort that Kino Lorber, Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow, Shout. There's a lot of these kind of boutique guys out there that are doing some great titles, and there are titles that I've seen that I haven't seen in since I was in my sort of teenager. And your first thing is, why would I want that in 4K? And I go, because I love the movie. I love
because you can.
I'm a brand loyalist. I'm going to watch it. And the funny thing is what happens is like we watched Labyrinth in 4K, right?
Right.
And there's an upside to it and there's a downside to it. It sure is pretty, but you sure see all the flaws of what the technology limitations were at the time, right? Which kind of adds its own unique character to it in a certain way.
All right, so Don has a request for you guys. He wants a combo Laserdisc 4K Blu-ray player.
I don't even think there's a decoder on the market anymore.
I would doubt it.
Yeah,
I've got to find the for mine. There's a little module you plug into the back so it can do the multi-channel stuff. I forget what it's called,
yeah.
but I got to find one of those. Not that I want. I mean, it's okay. It's horrible. Maybe Jim can help me because the output on these things is just, I mean, it is abysmal, right? The picture is ugly. That's the challenge, Jim. How good can you make
Yeah, people are still searching for, I get calls fairly frequently for a Radiance 2144, which has a really good 3D chroma filter in the input section, and people are saying that if you have a Laserdisc, that's the best product, but we haven't made that in like 8 years, so they're hard to find.
Yeah,
I hear you, but it's if you're going to buy the Laserdisc player, you have to go and find one of those too, right? All the good stuff not made anymore. Okay, so but for you, Rob, a couple more topics before we move over to Lumagen.
Sure.
So and we'll talk about this with Jim as well. So you guys are going to be at CEDIA coming up. We
are.
September. So could you talk a little bit about what that's going to be like for you?
Sure. So we are booth 4137 over kind of near the sound room wall. We are launching some new stuff, so we encourage you to come by and take a look.
Awesome.
We are improving. What we call is perfection evolved, right? The next level of what we're about. And then we're also announcing a unique program that ultimately is going to end in the consumer and dealer domain. As I say, we talk to the studios all the time, and we're announcing a partnership with a conglomerate of studios.
Nice.
And their home entertainment divisions, specifically about Blu-ray. And so there's going to be dealer programs and consumer programs and retail platforms. And what we want to do is we want to kind of push some wind and collectively what we kind of came to the conclusion of is there's no real single kind of collective voice out there for physical media, right? It's LG left the market, game over now, right? You just see that all the time, but there's nobody that's really said, hey, studio, Universal Pictures Home Entertainment, Warner Home Entertainment, let's go out there and do some cool things, move the needle. Let's remind people of what it is that we do and why we do it and the experiences that they can have. And let's do it collectively so we can be a stronger voice rather than just, a boutique manufacturer such as Magnetar, going out there and trying to yell from the mountaintop, with the limited amplification that we have. We can start moving the needle in ways for consumers and dealers to help, propagate physical media. And this ultimately transcends into labels, boutique labels from a music standpoint. So with the end game and the end goal being an organization, essentially, that collectively kind of stands for and behind physical media. And so we're launching the beginning of that, and you'll be able to see what that is. Plus, we've got a compliments of one of our partners, a ton of 4K movies that we're just going to be doing.
Well, people love that.
We'll give you a movie or two. Come on, see it.
Right on. Cool. Well, I'm going to definitely stop by because I want to check out that 900 a little bit more closely. I've never been hands-on with one of those, so I'm looking forward to that. All right. Last thing, if people want to buy one of these things, where do they go? Where can they buy this thing at?
MagnetarUSA.com. And we have a dealer locator. So if you're looking for a dealer that's local to you, we have a dealer locator on the site. You can find one. A lot of our dealers have them set up in the showroom with demos. You can walk in and see for yourself.
Right on. Cool. Proof's in the pudding, right? Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jim, you are up. And, man, please tell people about your boxes and what they do. And this is one of the things that I think people can get their head around. Okay, I need a good disc player, right? Because people can understand I'm putting a disc in, and then without that, nothing works. And I want that to be high quality. But where do you come in? How do you fit into this whole home theater ecosystem, and why would somebody want a Lumagen? Who is that customer?
So what we do is ground up custom design for our video processors. And like Magnetar, we pay very special attention to electrical noise and HDMI jitter and jitter reduction. And if you're an audiophile, jitter and electrical noise are probably front of mind because they can really get in there and destroy your audio quality. Like throwing a PC in the mix really adds a lot of electrical noise and stuff. So we have been doing video processing for 20 years. We started out SD up to 1080. That was our first product generation, analog, not even DVI. And then DVI, wow. Okay. And then HDMI. So what we're trying to do is refine the signal. And so we're doing the right algorithms. And I mean, I won't fault Magnetar for thinking they've got great scaling, but we've got great scaling. Mm-hmm. People buy the Lumagen to take Blu-rays and upscale them to 4K because we've actually done demos where they compared the 4K master with 4K content, true 4K master, to an upscale Blu-ray, and no one in the little demo could tell the difference because of the upscaling in the Lumagen. So we're doing that. We're doing some enhancement. We have this Darby feature, which some people really like, and some people it just turn it up a little bit. But so we do some enhancement to the video, but our scaling, our aspect ratio control is key. Whether you have an old 4:3 or 16:9 or a 240 movie or 2.0 or 2.2, we automatically detect that aspect ratio. And it's a lot of our clients love the product because they say, I don't even remember that the Lumagen's there when I'm watching. I turn the theater on, it does everything for me. So we're doing the switching, we're doing de-jitter for the audio. We have two series. We have our 4,000 series and our 5,000. And the 5,000, I used to be a two-channel guy, Jeff Rowland amps, Watt Puppy speakers, good wire, all that kind of stuff. And I was trying to reproduce some of the electrical qualities that you have to get that level, and de-jittering the HDMI before it goes to the audio processor can do a tremendous amount to improve the audio. So we're reducing electrical noise in the system, so the electrical noise itself doesn't hurt the audio. We're reducing the jitter, and that's just audio. We're not processing the audio in any way, but we're de-jittering it on the 5,000. We recreate that clock at an ultra-low jitter, and then we scale it up to 4K, whether you want 4096 wide, 3840 wide, have a 240 screen, or have a 276 screen. We actually support up to a 276 screen. So basically, we take all of these things and we give the dealers the chance to, if you buy the Lumagen, you're going to be able to complete the system no matter what the requirements of the customer are.
That's cool. Now, while we're talking, I'm gonna add the Lumagen site to the page so people can kind of see what's going on. And here on the left-hand side, that's the Radiance here, correct? Yeah, Radiance Pro.
Correct. Yes.
That's what this guy looks like. If you could, I've had a number of people in the past ask me, like, what does the model number really mean? Is the 4 something something something, and the flash 3? If you know the secret code, you can understand the inputs and outputs and that kind of stuff. How does that work exactly?
Well, I don't know how many people care about it, but there is a secret decoder ring for the video processor. So the first digit is the input rate max, 4 being 4K, 2 being 2K. The second number is the number of outputs. That's the hundreds digit. The tens digit is the output rate. So like we used to do the 2144, so that could take 2K in and output 4K. So then the input count is 2 more than the ones digit. Sorry about that, but we wanted to be able to have up to 10 inputs. So our 5348 has 10 inputs. You add 2 to 8, you get 10. So that's the secret decoder ring. But we'll help you with that if you need to understand, how many inputs you can have. That's the base flavor of the month here for the Lumagen. But we have a 1 input, and we have a 10 input. We have, 1 output to 10 outputs. And so it can be the hub of the system. It's like the central brain of your home theater if you set it up the way we recommend.
Right on. And so my next question is just so people understand, where does this fit inside of the architecture of a system? So if just say you've got like a turn-off processor, and you have three sources. The sources will plug into the Lumagen, and then the Lumagen will then in turn plug into your processor, which will then output to your video projector or screen or whatever you're watching on. Is that how the where this fits into the chain?
So that's the canonical way that we suggest you hook it up. So we do the switching in the Lumagen. We split off audio to the audio processor and video to the projector or television or LED wall. And the audio going to the audio processor. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, in your world, then the video never would hit your Storm or your Trinov or your whatever it might be. That's our HDMI audio.
Yeah, that's our preferred way to hook it up in a home theater, because if you get the 5000 series, you're going to G-jitter that audio and it's going to sound better. I was pretty amazed when we first hooked up the 5000. I watched Greatest Showman Never Enough, and I just couldn't believe how much just reducing the jitter to the turn-off improved the audio. Going to the projector directly means we don't have to worry about any kind of jitter issues or bit error rates in the audio processor. So we prefer that, but a lot of people want to put us after the audio processor, and that works too, especially when they come late to the game. They've already got their home theater set up. I've got my audio processor. I've got my control system programmed up. What's the simplest thing I do? Well, put the Lumagen on the output of the audio processor. They've actually gone a long way to removing any processing in the audio processors because they weren't doing a good enough job, and that was really, I think, a smart move. We just take the output from the audio processor, and we still do all our instant auto aspect and our lip sync processing, and all of the dynamic tone mapping still works the same. So you can be before the audio processor and the projector, or after the audio processor, or in series, like the Lumagen can switch and send audio and video to the audio processor, and then that can go to your projector. So there's several options for doing the connection.
So you got it pretty much all covered. That makes a lot of sense. This one I wanted to touch base on, right? Because I've used a number of different devices in the past in gaming setups, and that hasn't necessarily been my best experience ever. So how does this fit into a gamer's world?
I'm glad you asked that. That is very important, and I didn't think to say that. So we have a game mode, and we have gen lock. So we have a true gen lock, which I just think is so important to have in a video processor, because that fixes the input to output delay and allows you to get lip sync right. But we have a game mode that when you turn on gen lock and game mode, the input to output delay on the Lumagen is about 3 milliseconds, including all the processing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we have really hardcore gamers who say that's fast enough that they can use the Lumagen. You put your projector or your television in the fastest, lowest latencyly mode. A JVC projector, you turn on low latency, and a TV, you can actually maybe have a game mode, and you can actually have Twitch games and really process those. So the Lumagen is really the only video processor that you can do gaming with and get processing.
I agree with that, because that's a big challenge. I mean, if you're going to do processing on video and you're a gamer, those two things traditionally have not been a super good match. But it sounds like with 3 milliseconds, you're going to be all right. I do want to talk about some other features, right? Because I feel like a lot of folks don't necessarily really understand all of the different things that you can do. So, when you talk about the auto aspect correction or change, right? Is that the kind of stuff where you're trying to do like nonlinear stretch and things like that to make maybe a 16:9 aspect movie fit onto a 2:1 screen, or vice versa? Maybe anamorphic aspect movie, and then you stretch it up to fit onto a 16:9 screen, so you fill up all the space. Is that the kind of stuff that you're are talking about? Is that right?
Typically people don't use nonlinear stretch if they're video files. If you have a television 16:9, I have people who want to fill the 16:9 screen no matter what the content. If it's 240, We still want to fill it. How can you do it and make it look reasonable? Well, the Lumagen can do linear vertical stretch, which doesn't make no sense to do nonlinear vertical stretch, but linear vertical stretch combined with cropping off the left and the right of the image, you can get a fairly good looking 240 movie. And most movies are shot protected for 16:9. So cropping off a little bit off the left and the right doesn't take away critical content. And so you can have then if you have a 4:3 with a 16:9 television, you can tell the Lumagen, well, do nonlinear stretch to fill that and do this stretch. We have the feature called output aspect per input aspect. So you can tweak this up. You kind of lie to the Lumagen and say, hey, do this in this case. If it's 2.0, do this. If it's 2.1, do this. If it's 1.8.5, do that. And so you can tune up all of those settings to optimize for whatever display you have. And I've actually been promoting people that want to fill the screen. Why not consider a 2.0 or a 2.1 screen? Because that's a better constant area where you're stretching 16:9 less and you're stretching 240 less. And you get a better compromise for people who don't want to be purists. I'm a movie guy. I have a 240 screen. Almost all the movies are 240, and if it's 16:9, I just have black bars on the left and the right. But a lot of people want to fill their screen. And so a 2.0 screen for projectors works out very well.
I tend to agree with that. And I don't consider myself to be like a movie purist, right? I like a great experience, but if I'm tweaking the screen or the aspect ratio to fit what I want it to be, to me, that I'm okay with that. And so I like products like yours that can help me watch stuff the way that I want to. And I'm sure there's some movie directors out there like, oh, this guy, what is he doing? But, I appreciate being able to be in control of my experience, right? And see it the way I want to. And I agree with your comment on the screen size too, right? It is a great compromise when you're trying to fill up that whole screen, right?
Yes, exactly. So we do that, and then sometimes like on a TV, a 16:9 TV, I might zoom in a 240 movie, but I'm not doing nonlinear stretch. I'm doing a linear zoom, and we're cropping off 7.5% off the left and the right, and I have smaller black bars, so I kind of a compromise in that. So we can do anything like that. It's all programmable. We have multiple memories. We have multiple settings. We have special settings for like Dolby Vision LLDV. That's slightly different than HDR10, and we can automatically switch and connect. So once you get the Lumagen set up, your calibrator, if you get calibration, sets it up, and then you basically, it's a set and forget kind of box. You select the input, and we do all the rest.
That's cool. So another feature I want to talk a little bit about, and I think this is one that more people have heard of because they've heard this thrown around in the in televisions and in some disc players, and that's HDR dynamic tone mapping. So why is it important to tone map your content? Why would anybody ever want to do that?
So first of all, for projectors, it's most important, and then less important for televisions, but it's still important. And so what we do is you've got a movie that may be mastered at 4,000 nits, and you're displaying it on an 80 nit projector. That's what we have at Mid Laser in our theater, is 80 nits. So if you don't have dynamic tone mapping, you're going to have some scenes that look okay, and then some scenes that just don't look very good. The darker scenes aren't going to look great, the brighter scene. So what we've done is we've taken our static tone mapping algorithm and we've added scene detection and max CLL calculation for people that are in the technical side. That's just determining how bright every frame of the movie is. And we tune the response to best show what you're watching as if you were like in a commercial theater. So in a commercial theater, you've got a grader doing post in a movie studio, doing it for a known projection system, and they're tuning, doing all this dynamic analysis of all the movie content, and then sending you the SDR, so standard dynamic range. With HDR content, we do that on the fly, customized specifically to your projector, your screen size, your screen gain, your aspect ratio, all this stuff we can customize for your home cinema.
Right on. Now, are you doing look ahead, like you're kind of like looking 2 frames ahead or something like that to kind of do those calculations so it's done and ready to throw out there when the time comes? It seems like you have to have an awful lot of horsepower to do this kind of stuff in this box.
We when the frame ends, we have a vertical retrace time, and we're up and running with that, outputting it if you have Genlock on within a vertical time, which is like 5 or 10% of a frame time. We don't take multiple frames. We do it instantly, because that way you have low latency, and low latency is very important in a video processor. So our latency with Genlock on is 1 frame plus 3 or 4 or 5 milliseconds, depending on input to output aspect stuff. So it's very, very quick to do this, and that just helps you with your audio processor. You don't need as much audio delay to match it. And the other thing we do is we actually have a video delay, because if you've got like a Trinoff or DSP speakers, you find that the audio actually lags the video, where historically it's always the video that lagged. And so we can actually add video delay of a fixed length to get your Genlock, with Genlock, to get your lip sync just right.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, now we've been talking about the, kind of the world that exists today, but there's going to be a new world for you guys, and that's the future, the Artisan. Obviously, it's a taller box, so it's got to be more powerful because it's bigger. What is this guy, and why? What's special here?
Well, I have been very vocal about, I'm about better 4K. So part of the Artisan is to improve 4K. We're going to go to a deeper pipeline, at least that's our plan. And then we're going to go to 444 pipeline. So just putting it in for 4K, it's a refinement. We're all about refining, improving, and constant improvement in the video quality. So that's what the Artisan is for 4K. And then the next step is, well, 4K 120 for gaming makes a lot of sense. So we're looking at the Artisan, and the reason I kind of said, okay, let's do it, is really not for 8K so much as for 4K 120 for gamers. We want to be the premier gaming box. 4K 120 is really where gamers want to be going forward, and there's a lot now, there are games that support 4K 120. So we expect the Artisan to have the same latency for 4K 120 as we do at 4K 60 now for gaming, and it's going to be a really good gaming box. And then the next generation is, well, what about outputting 8K from 4K content? That's the next step, and what you want to do is, if you can output 8K all the time, then we can upscale, like we had the 2144 was 2K and 4K out. Well, this will be 4K in and 8K out in that step. And then finally, if we can't even find 8K sources that are any good other than test pattern generators right now. So we're looking at how soon do we need 8K? Well, 8K is not really a big deal for content right now. There is an 8K organization. They're trying to, get people into the 8K. But from my point of view, if you're sitting one screen width away from your display or television, 4K is below human perception slightly. Is there an advantage to outputting 8K? Well, you get the same advantages you get for audio. You have oversampling in audio to improve the audio. You can actually improve the video if you output at 8K, but you can also do that in the projector. So there's a lot of discussions. We're doing it because people ask us to do the 8K product, but we're really focused on 4K 120 as being really the big feature for the Artisan.
That's cool. I'm actually doing some content for Samsung right now, and I have one of their new 8K screens, and it would be really nice to have a box that is doing, better upscaling than what they can do in their processor to fill that thing up with 8K all the time. That'd be pretty sweet. Particularly, they just released a new, and I don't know if this one does 8K or not, but they have a new screen that does 100% of the BT 2020 color space, right? Which is, I think, brand new in the television world, right? So I think you guys, even for the folks that are living in DirectView TV world, this is a cool device to have, no matter what your output display is, right?
Yeah, we think it will be useful for people in gaming and people who just want the very best. So it's kind of, I think, the same theme as Magnetar is, if you want the very best, then you're going to go to Lumagen.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, so let's shift over and talk a little bit about Cedia, because you have some really cool stuff coming up at CEDIA, and you didn't get a great chance because you had to go take a cruise and go have fun. But let's talk a little bit about Sound Room. The Sound Room that you're kind of the leader for coming up at CEDIA, because it's pretty exciting.
It really is. It was an opportunity that presented ourselves, and we said, this is the year we're going to talk about the next generation coming, the Artisan, and we're going to be able to show our current generation with some really good products. We're in there with digital projection. They're showing a Rec 2020 projector. It's a red, green, blue laser single chip, which is unusual, but it's also in the price point, of just under $30K with a lens in the great spot. Then Seymour Screen Excellence is showing a less expensive, what they call the trim masking screen, and we're going to be controlling it directly with the Lumagen. And then we have Trinoff going to do waveforming with the Trinoff Altitude 24 or 32, and next level speakers, really good subs, good speakers, speaker power, and Valencia speaker, seating. I'm probably forgetting someone off the cuff, but we have a great group of people, and we are working to really make it an event type of thing, not just your typical sound room. We think people are going to really enjoy coming and seeing our demo. And of course, if you're at CEDIA SR11, and we are calling it the Paragons of Home Cinema. So we're adapting our marketing theming from the Lumagen, because we're the Paragons. We've been here 23 years. We are the best. We basically, there's imitators, but we are the best of video processing. And we're inviting other companies that are doing the best of what they're doing and showing it at a price point that, well, not inexpensive, at $177,000, I think, for the equipment, is in the realm of possibility for us people that aren't multi-millionaire, billionaire types. So we think it's going to be very, very amazing demo at that price point.
That makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm really excited to see the room. I'm just, Magnetar there. Oh man, that's nice. Rob,
yeah, we're using a Strato B.
Introduce you to some folks.
Yeah, we do like the Strato B.
Yep. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying we like the Strato B because it allows us to build a script, and so we can go through and do our demos and not be switching this at home. I mean, I have an old Oppo 203 modified by Cinemike in Germany to really bring it to its best. So it's probably equivalent to the 900 from Magnetar, or very close. But Magnetar's newer product, I'd love to have one in my home theater, but it's just a different level when you talk to people who really understand that electrical noise matters, that design and component quality, and having the best and custom design, not just off the shelf buying a PC somewhere. That's where you're going to get your highest quality out of your video and your audio.
100%.
Okay, so Jim,
we'll actually be right next door in room 12 with Trill, their source.
Oh,
cool.
Okay.
Cool.
I'll come harass you, Jim.
Okay, excellent. Yes, I love that.
That's exciting, Rob. I was gonna ask that question. So you will be in one of the big sound rooms there, so everybody can see you in full action. Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah, all right, we'll have a live demo. We'll have a live demo in our booth as well. But yeah,
nice.
Sound room 12. Yeah, much more. Show floor for demos are just not.
No, Sound Room 12 will be the place to see your stuff at for sure. So Jim, last question for you to close out. If someone wants to buy a Lumagen, what do they do? How do they find out? Do they go look you up on a dealer or something? How does it work?
Well, we are mostly custom install, but we do have a lot of people calling, and we do try to hook them up with dealers. We don't have an automated app. I'm your source for finding a dealer. So on our website, we now have a little button you can click, find a Lumagen dealer, and then I'll respond to you, and we'll communicate and see what kind of a person, if you're doing it yourself, there's certain dealers I'll connect you with. If you need it custom install, then I'll connect you with different types of dealers.
Awesome. Very cool. So, folks, if you need any of this gear, I'll have the links down below. You can click on those, go find it. If you have problems, talk to me, and I can help put you in contact with the right folks to make sure you have the equipment that you need to make your cinema the best that it can be. All right. We are at time. Rob, Jim, man, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate you spending some time with me and everybody else in the world. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. And then for everybody else out there, all the folks that joined us to watch tonight and all the folks that will be watching this on replay later, thank you. I know your time is precious. So thank you for spending that with us and letting us tell the story for both Rob and Jim's products, both Magnetar and Lumagen. Great stuff. I've seen both in action. I guarantee you, great stuff to look into. Highly recommend that if you're in the Denver area, come to CEDIA, see them in action. If not, find a local dealer that has this stuff set up, or a friend or somebody, and check it out, because this can take your theater to the next level. All right. Again, everybody, thank you, and we'll see you guys in the next show.